Welcome to the Clockwork Percussion podcast. Today's guest is Chris Madge.
Hey, how you guys doing? Go by this drummer, but yeah, my name is Chris Madge for those who don't know my real name.
Awesome. Yeah. So what is your Instagram handle?
Instagram handle is this drummer one. But that's only because this drummer wasn't available. So this drummer one on Instagram and then this drummer on YouTube and TikTok. So anywhere else it's this drummer, but Instagram you got to add that one at the end because some other person out there has this drummer that it's not even an active account. So kind of sucks, but yeah.
I've been there with the band. That's the worst. Cool. Well, Chris, the idea is just to get to know you better as a drummer and what you're up to nowadays. With that being said, how did you get started playing?
Yeah. So growing up, I had a childhood friend who got a drum set. I think it was probably for Christmas, birthday, something like that. And it was like a Mark II. If you Google it, you can still look them up. They're the really cheap branded Mark II drum sets. There is probably a 4-piece. It was terrible. I mean, terrible cymbals, terrible drums. And him and I, we skateboarded together. We played the drums together, and I always just was inherently better than him at these things. So I was better at the skateboarding, and then I was better at the drums. And it got to the point where he kind of got frustrated that I would just come over just to play his drum set. And so at some point, he kind of just said, "No, that you're not going to play my drum set." So after that, I kind of geared towards guitar, and I wanted to do guitar because I would always like rock music. Then after that, I realized guitar was going to be way too complicated for me. I didn't want to go to learn lessons. I didn't want to have to, I just wanted to rock. I didn't want to have to sit there and actually learn notes and chords and stuff like that. So then when I was in middle school, it was actually the first time I went to summer school. So I was a bad kid during that 1 year as far as grades go. And then I was sitting at lunch with these other, bad kids or whatever you want to call them, kids that were ditching school and doing stuff like that. And one kid said, "Hey, check this band out." And it was Slipknot's Iowa album. So the first song I ever heard from Slipknot was, I believe it was the Heretic Anthem. So once I heard that, I knew I was like, man, I always liked the drums, but I just never knew that the drums could be played that way. And I remember it blew my mind. I was like, how is this person playing the drums like that? And I grew up in the church, so I had always seen like church drummers, and I would always kind of watch them and study them. And I was always fascinated by the instrument. But then once I heard Joey Jordison play drums, I was like, how the heck is this guy playing the drums like this? So then that's when it led to going down the rabbit hole of researching Slipknot. Finding their Disaster Piece DVD was like the holy grail for me. Like once I was able to get those drum cams and be able to see how he actually played, then I just kind of became obsessed with studying him. And then that led to me getting my first drum set, which was a Pearl Export. And it was an 8-piece kit. So I was trying to get the same setup as Joey. And I remember it was in red wine, and I had it in my room. And at the time, my neighbors didn't care. They knew I was going to play the drums. I told them about it, and they loved it. My neighbors were all about it. I played during a certain time during the day. But everybody was like cheering me on when it came to that. So then I did that for a little while. And then later down the road, once I was in my 20s, I was in a band for a little bit. And then now I'm here with my custom kit in a fully soundproof basement. So that's kind of a shorter story of it. But yeah, it really all started with like the launch point was like Slipknot. Once I was able to hear a Slipknot record and then watch Joey play, I was like, okay, this is what I want to play. This is what I want to do.
Totally. Yeah. Joey Jordison has been brought up several times as an influential drummer on this podcast. And what was so unique about his playing was like the swing and the way he would like there's a click and then there's the way he went in and out of it. And it was so unique because he'd be like ahead of the beat, behind the beat at the right times to fit with like the composition of the song, and then still be pulling all these super athletic moves. He was one of a kind for sure. So that's a great starting point for drums. You mentioned the first band that you were in. What was that called?
Yeah, so like I had said earlier, I was part of the church growing up, and so I met some friends in the church, um, and it was a really talented singer and a guitar player, and then another guitar player as well. So we kind of had this little like three-piece thing going on, and the band at the time was called One Step Left. So One Step Left. It kind of I mean, this was 15 something years ago when I was in my early 20s. So it was a long time ago, but
Sure.
we had access to the church. One of the guys' dad was the pastor. So we actually had keys to the building. So we would go in overnight after work and we had access to the soundboard. We would go up on the actual stage and everything. So like it was pretty fortunate for us. We didn't have to play in like some dirty basement or some, and worry about sound and stuff. It was the church is already soundproofed and everything. So, so we did that for a couple of years and we got some songs, but it never really, I mean, we had our fun. And then the other guys kind of realized, oh, I got to go to college or I'm starting a family. And then I was sitting there like, I want to let's keep going. And
Right.
so I kind of got left out a little bit at the end, but we did record like an album at a local college out in California. I was in around San Francisco area. That's where I was living at the time. And so we did have, like 12 songs and we did have a CD, but that was 2007. So I mean, it's not online. It's not available. It was really just for us to have fun with it. But in that time, I would always encourage drummers even now when I talk to a lot of the drummers who support me on like TikTok and stuff, they're my age when I first started, 15, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. And my advice to them would be, you're going to play the drums, but always like play with other people too, because it really is a different experience when you have to actually keep time and you have to like follow and look at people and know the cues and just creating a song too is really hard. It's not as easy as people may think. So like when you're sitting there like, all right, let's just make a song. It's like, okay, well, how do you start making a song? It's like, it usually starts with a riff, but then, sometimes it might start with drums too. So that was cool. That was probably about 4 years of my life. And then, life kind of happened and then I got married, had my daughter. And then from there, things kind of just went kind of flat. And I had an E-kit in the house for a little while until I got my custom kit here. So that was a great little, time of my life. And I recommend anybody that's a drummer or just a musician, play with other people because you'll learn a whole bunch around musicianship and how to just create music. So
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the main ways to get better. Play with better people or just play with anyone. It'll challenge you. Great. So Chris, what are you up to nowadays?
Yeah, so I grew up in California and I moved here to Michigan about 2 years ago this month. And main reason I did that was because my wife was from Michigan originally. So long story short, it was a better support system financially. It made a lot more sense. And I knew I was going to be able to get a place that had a basement where I could have a specific area for where I'm sitting right now in my computer area, but then also right across the way is where my drum set is. So really like the last year, I've been trying to just focus on creating content or, specifically around Slipknot. And I've also got this major goal of trying to get backstage with their drummer, Jay Weinberg. You've seen my post. A lot of people have seen my post, but essentially I'm just trying to get backstage with Jay Weinberg. I did tag on the end that I want to sound check his drums just as a cool feature that if it could happen, that would be amazing. I understand that part might not happen, but if I was able just to get backstage, I think, Slipknot's been such a huge part of my identity and a part of a lot of people's identity and drummers. But for me specifically, I feel like it's kind of shaped who I am. It helped me through hard times. I'm going through another kind of hard time right now, personally. So it's helping me there. And I've only gotten better at drums because of Slipknot. And the way I look at it too, people always go, why, who's better, Joey Jordison or Jay Weinberg? I get that question like all the time. And I'm like, it's two different phases. Joey was the person who introduced me to the drums. And then Jay has helped me get better and look at drum, like as I've matured, get better at the drums and see like with like songwriting and how he added his parts into the songs, because obviously he still has to play their old songs. So he's just kind of playing their old songs. But the new songs that he's written, it's helped me like understand what a drummer does with entering into a band and then putting their own stamp on it. And that's helped me like in my mind, like, oh man, that's like, I was just kind of copying Joey Jordison. Now I'm seeing what somebody is doing that, that's kind of a dream of mine would be to play for Slipknot. And so I get to see somebody do it and live out how he's doing it. So it's kind of like two different phases. But yeah, I'm trying to continually upgrade my setup too. So 2024, I think is going to be a huge year for me. I'm going to be able to get a hold of a little bit of money. So I'll probably be able to enhance my, everybody always tells me to get mics. I'm like, I know. So I need to get mics for the kit. I need to probably get a better camera. And then I want to be able to, obviously I want to meet Jay Weinberg and get backstage. I'll see him at Pale Fest. Shout out Pale Fest, House of Masks. If you guys haven't checked out the House of Masks, check them out on YouTube. So I will see him in about 5 days now. And so I'm going to talk to him. I'm trying to get all my followers to that are going to talk to him. So I don't know how that's going to go, but I'm going to document the whole thing. And awesome. Yeah, and we'll see what happens. But that's essentially what I got going on. It's just continually putting out content, being obsessed with Slipknot, and then just trying to get backstage with Jay Weinberg. So that's kind of the current status with me right now.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I just want to I want to mention that we've been following each other on Instagram probably since I jumped on with this account, like the beginning of the year. And I've just watched you crush all these Slipknot covers.
Yeah.
Which is no easy task. I mean, no matter what drummer whose songs you're playing drummer wise. And going back to another point that, Joey's style is totally different. Like he had swing and he was just like a ball of energy. And then Jay is he's a seasoned pro. His dad is, East Street Band, Max Weinberg 7. So he had all of that probably, more like academic knowledge going into the band, and then being able to play everything but rock solid. And I saw him live only with Jay Weinberg, and he was incredible, So I want to dig in a little bit more to meeting him in a week. Is that like a potential thing, or is that for sure happening? How did that come about?
Yeah. So I've actually met Jay Weinberg. Actually, I met him in person one time before, and then I met him, and then I did a call with him with his SJC custom snare. So the first time I met him was in San Jose, California. He was doing a drum clinic for one of the Roland TD50 electronic drum sets, and this was like 2017. So he joined the band 2014. So he was 3 years in. They had just got the Gray Chapter out, which was the first album that he was on. And I remember walking into the Guitar Center, and I was walking down the hallway to go to the bathroom, and he was just coming down the other way of the hallway. And I'm like, dude, Jay, what's up? Like, he's just all, and he was very punk. So he had his hat kind of like this. I remember specifically, he was in a very punky era of his life where he had a bunch of punk shirt, punk hat, all that stuff. So he's a lot different now. But I remember just being like, hey man, and then I like shook his hand and everything, went to the bathroom, and then came back and just sat front row and watched him do Slipknot songs on this Roland TD50. He answered questions. And then I bought his snare drum. When I moved here from California, I got some money. So then the first thing I did was I bought the snare drum, and that came with a video call. So I videoed with him for about 15 minutes. I've posted a little bit of it. And then this Pale Fest thing is all about AJ Good and the House of Masks. He became friends with Jay Weinberg. So it's on his YouTube channel. And he has this festival that he puts on every October. And this year he was able to get not only Jay Weinberg to show up, but he's got Sid Wilson, who's the DJ of Slipknot. They're both showing up to this event, which is Friday, October 13th through Sunday, October 15th. So it's in Ohio, and I live in Michigan, so it's about a 4-hour drive. And so I'm going on Friday. That's when Jay's going to be there. And essentially, it's kind of like a meet and greet. They say there's all these surprises that are supposed to happen, but My whole thing is I'm just going to show up with my sweater that I got that says it's whatever day 206 of me posting a video every day, and I'm just going to show up and see what happens. I mean, I honestly don't really know what's going to happen, but all I can do is control, having a conversation with him, and then from there, if he wants to do it, then great. But if he doesn't, then I don't really know what I would do if he just straight up said no to my face, which I don't think he would do. He's a really nice guy. I don't think that he would do that, but I also believe I've become friendly with the House of Masks too, to try and kind of slither into that friendship type of connection. I don't want to be like annoying and tag the House of Masks in every single post that I do, because I don't want to become an annoyance, but I also want to, create connections with these people so I can kind of get a little bit behind the scenes. I don't have to be in the forefront, but I want to be kind of a part of it. Hey, I'm here. Like, I want to be associated with it, it's because it's just something that's so awesome. So yeah, I'll definitely see him. I just don't know what the actual outcome is going to be. I'm hoping to just have maybe a side conversation with him after the fact, after talking with the House of Masks and seeing if I can facilitate some sort of conversation maybe after the fact. So
Okay.
we'll see.
Very cool. Well, good luck. It sounds like an awesome opportunity to potentially move the mission forward.
Exactly. Like if it's just like, hey, their next Slipknot show is in Mexico City, which obviously would be crazy for me to go there. But like if that was the case and he said, yeah, you can come backstage, it's in November, I guess I would just have to find a way to make that happen, because I wouldn't say no to that. So
right.
All I know is what they've got listed on their website is the next show is November 3rd, and it's in Mexico City. So I just say, hey, it's the Hell and Heaven Fest in Mexico City. So that's where the next show is that I know of. So that's where I would go if he said, yes, you can come backstage. So,
well, Mexico City is a pretty cool place. So if you get that chance,
you've been there?
You'll have a good time. I have.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. It's
never been there.
It's like nothing else you've ever seen. It's very unique. Okay. And the food's obviously incredible. People are very warm and awesome. So, so this begs the question, who is your favorite drummer?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think this is where that question stems from. Like, who's better, Joey Jay? Who do you like better, Joey Jay? I mean, I gotta say, just my overall favorite drummer has got to be Joey Jordison. I mean, that's where it all started for me, and the influence, and just because also he's no longer here, also puts a big sentimental thing on it. It's crazy. I remember that day that he died, because unfortunately it's my dad's birthday too. So like, I'll never be able to kind of forget that. It's my dad's birthday. It's the day Joey died. So yeah, again, Jay Weinberg, huge influence on me, but Joey's the only reason I'm actually playing drums. And I think Jay Weinberg would say the same thing. That's what's so funny about his story, and my story is kind of similar, is that he started playing guitar around the same time I tried to play guitar. Then he went into drums. He was obviously obsessed with Slipknot just as much as I've been. Then he ends up living the dream and becoming their drummer. So it's like, that's what I mean, if I got that opportunity, even if I probably wasn't ready for it, I'd still try. I mean, I would, in a heartbeat, I would try. So I think there's a lot of like similarities between like Jay and me in terms of like, I understand like his obsession with Slipknot, but Joey's the real reason why Slipknot are who they are. He still plays their songs that Joey wrote, and Joey was a founding member of Slipknot with Clown and Paul, the bass player, who's no longer with us either. So it's like, it's got to be Joey Jordison, but Jay Weinberg is just like he's right up there next. I mean, he's right next to him. So it's like,
yeah,
we'll just say Joey Jordison overall is my favorite drummer.
Okay. I've always been curious because Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat is a solid album that they worked on for so long. Why don't they recognize that as like their first album? How come you can't find it on Spotify, or it's like not even really on like Wikipedia? They don't like recognize it. Yeah,
I think like I remember there was a big controversy with their record label that they just got out of, the Roadrunner Records. They were with Roadrunner for 20 years, 25 years, something like that. So they finally got out of that contract. So I don't know if it had something to do with that. If Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat was part of Roadrunner, I don't know, but I would assume it just has something to do with maybe legalities in business, I would think, because that there's always been stories throughout the years with Slipknot about things like that, like members leaving and members like and stuff, and then there's legalities and stuff, and you're just like you'll never really know, like because
Right.
they're never gonna say. They always ask Corey Taylor questions in interviews, and he always finds a way to like just navigate around them. But I think like probably it just has something to do with like business. But it would be cool now that they're strictly independent if they come up on like a 30-year anniversary of it, which I think is probably the next milestone for it. It just like re-release it or something, or you know, pay homage to Joey and Paul, who were both on that too. So it's
Right.
like I would love to see it come out again, like remastered or something one day.
Yeah, I mean, it had a couple cool songs on it. I think even one of the songs ended up re-recorded on Iowa.
Yeah. It's like I think Purity is one of them that's on there. Could be wrong, but that you can see like the early structure of some of how the songs were played there, and then they made slight changes to the structure of certain songs, and then like
yeah.
renamed the song, and then put it on the self-titled. Yeah.
Gently, I think, is one of them. I think that's the one I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, and then obviously their self-titled came out, which is, you know, it's like a Sonic rebranding. And I remember the first time I heard Wait and Bleed, I think was the first time it was on like a Scream 2 soundtrack, like compilation. I bought it some CD store back in the 90s. But then I heard Sick and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I didn't know you could play double pedal with no snare drum in the beginning. You know, he's just like, it's just kind of like, yeah, super manic. And I was like, whoa, like, you know, as a kid, it blew my mind that someone was thinking outside the box. But so what kind of sticks do you use?
Oh yeah. So I use I don't have any in front of me right now. Dang it. I was cleaning out my basement. So I just use the Jay Weinberg signature sticks. They're the Vader 908 sticks. They're a little bit longer and they're definitely a little bit thicker. So I remember when I first was holding them, I was like, my gosh, these things are so heavy and so like thick. I remember in my hands, I was like, geez. But now it's become obviously like second nature. These things feel great in my hands. And you know, again, I think it's really cool that those sticks, the reason why they're called the 908 sticks is because Jay Weinberg's originally from New Jersey, which the area code is 908, and then his birthday is on September 8th. So there's a couple different. I think there's one more reason in there. I can't remember, but there's pretty much like 3 reasons why it's called the 908, and I thought that was cool because you could just say, you know, you could just slap his signature on it and say Jay Weinberg 6, but a lot of what he does, and it's another reason why I admire him so much, is everything that he does, he puts like, there's like some real thought behind it and thoughtfulness. Same thing with his signature snare and everything too. It's like, I didn't, you know, he could have just slapped together a snare drum, any sort of snare, and just said, throw a signature on it and say, this is mine. And everybody would buy it anyway. But to be able to explain a story of why he chose a 48 ply for his snare, or why he chose the 2-inch vents, and then and then the artwork that's on it, like there's all these reasons, and he explains why, and you're just like, I could sit there and just listen to his interviews like all day about like where his mind was when he was thinking of stuff. So it just helps me think about everything honestly a little bit more deeply than I would. I'm like, man, this guy's smart. He just like super knowledgeable and understands like what he's trying to do, and he just puts it out there. And then that just helps me at like, you know, with my job, with my personal life, with just thinking about stuff. So of course I'm going to have his sticks because he's, you know, it's Slipknot, so I'm not going to just have any old sticks. And I love Vader drumsticks anyway. So yeah, the 908 Jay Weinberg signature sticks, I think they're like $10 a pair. You can get them Amazon, you can get them Guitar Center, but yeah, I love those sticks.
Very cool. You mentioned artwork on drums, and I noticed that your kit has a bunch of cool artwork on it. So can we dig into your drum set?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, like I said, when I had sold my house in California, I got some money for them, and the first thing I told my wife is like, I'm buying a SJC drum set. Like, it's gonna cost this much money. Like, I already know it's gonna cost a lot of money. Um, and when I was starting to think about like, what do I want on my drums? Because I could just get a regular kit, get a sparkle kit, or get, my favorite color is black. So I was like, I could just get an all black kit. That'd be cool. But then I'm like, man, this is SJC custom drums. They can do whatever you want. So then, and I was like, I have the money to do it. Why not just take this one shot? And I just thought about like, what else do I love the most in my life right now? And that's video games, and specifically like the Fallout series. So if you've ever played Fallout, Skyrim, anything that Starfield that just came out, if you play any games that are like from Bethesda, I've been a huge Bethesda fan for 15 plus years. So I thought, let me just take some of the highlighted themes out of my favorite video game and I'll apply it to every single drum. And then I had to kind of narrow it down to like, what do I actually, what are the bigger standouts in that game? So they have like their own Coca-Cola, which is called Nuka-Cola. And it's just like, it's its own world, having its own themed products that we have, and kind of putting a spin on it in that Fallout world universe. And so I just talked with the graphic designer and I sent her some pictures of like, here's the logo for that, here's the logo for this. And then I don't know, maybe 3 weeks later, she just shot me back some mock-ups of the drums with the wrap around it. And I was like, wow, like to be able to do that so quickly and get it back to me that fast, I was like, wow. So yeah, so then they all my drums are the same size as Jay Weinberg, so that wasn't a huge issue as far as like, what sizes do I want? I already knew what his sizes were, but it was just all about combining my love of drums and then combining my love of Fallout into one. So now I have a drum set that's it's mismatched, but it also, like, I understand it because it's my favorite game. So when I'm playing it and I'm looking at it while I'm playing, I'm like, man, I get the best of both worlds here. It's like I'm playing my favorite instrument and I get to look at my favorite video game. So that's kind of where I decided to just kind of blend the two together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Normally the follow-up question is, what is your dream kit? But I think you have yours.
Yeah. If I honestly, if I had a second chance to go back, or if I could have a second kit, it probably would be something similar to like what, after I got my kit a year later, Jay put out that customizer of his own artwork. So you can take his literal artwork and make it on your drum. So if I had to go get a second kit, I probably would get a second kit. It would be the same drums, but it would be with his artwork attached to it. So I could have kind of like a setup exactly like his, right? Down to the actual artwork being the same. And there's a couple like little things after the fact. Like, I didn't know his drum set had reinforcement rings on them.
Mm.
I didn't even know what reinforcement rings were before. Like, I should have asked more questions. I think I got a little too excited and I just said, yeah, do this. Let's get it going. Because I'd waited so long to be able to have an actual proper custom drum set. Like,
Sure.
But I would get reinforcement rings on mine. And then I'm trying to think. I've tried to find his throne online. I can't find his throne anywhere, but he's got a really nice like cheetah print throne, and I think it's from Pork Pie Percussion. So it's just, I think it's discontinued. It's not available anymore. But if I could get that drum throne, I'd probably get that one because it looks a little more comfier than mine. But I have all the cymbals that he has, and those are very expensive. So it's like, it's not like I'd want to get some different set of cymbals. Maybe I would get like a Joey setup where he had the pasty cymbals.
Yeah.
Pasty, whatever how you say it. Because I remember when I watch him on the Disaster piece, I thought those rude cymbals that he had were so cool too.
Yeah.
I was like, so if I could have a kit maybe with J's and then have the pasty rudes on there, maybe that would be like a second one that I could jump on to have a different feeling, I guess. But I love Zildjian cymbals. Zildjians are my favorite cymbals. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those I think it's Peisty. I'm not sure either, but those are insane, man. I just a set of hi-hats I think would make me happy, because I'm like really punk and metal. So just to have that like raw sound as my my main counter would be pretty dope. Chris, what does drumming mean to you?
Whoa. Yeah, I think like I'd said earlier, like with Slipknot too, it's just like drumming is just basically like my identity. It's who I am. It's what I'm best at. And so, for me, I tend to be like I'm not very good at a lot of things. So what the things I am really good at, I spend a lot of energy on and a lot of focus on just because I want to get better. And I feel like it's just a great like for me, it's a great outlet. So to be able to escape from the reality of the world, especially with how the world is, and then when we had COVID and all this other stuff, like it just helps you de-stress. It helps you get into the zone, get into a different world. But essentially, to me, it just means everything. I mean, if today all of a sudden I had to sell everything, everything would get sold, and the drum set would be the last thing that got sold. Like I'm not going to sell, even though it's a lot of money and I could get a lot of money for it. I'd rather just be homeless and then have it with me on the side of the road with me. Like there's no way. Like I would sell this computer first. I would sell this couch back. I'd sell this microphone for like. I'm not going to sell my drum set. So it really is like kind of my second child. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and my drums are my kids too. So that's what it means to me. It means everything. It means everything.
I feel very similarly. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you had any tips that you'd like to give to someone listening at either the beginning of their drumming journey or wherever they're at, what would they be?
Yeah. So if you really want to play the drums and it's something you want to do, you can't give up on it. I think a lot of times you got to realize that you're going to fail like more than you're going to succeed. So like a good example is I've been playing for 21 years. I'm sure you've been playing for a long time as well. And I just posted a recording for Tattered and Torn. And it's really not that hard of a song to play, like in terms of the actual I could show somebody how to play it. But if you look at my GoPro, there's probably like 15, maybe 20 takes on it. And normally it's that like I just had one mess up in there. The rest of it was fine, but it's like I can't post it if it's not 100% perfect. So just knowing that you're going to fail, practice. And then also it would help if you were obsessed. So you have to kind of be obsessed with it. If you aren't obsessed with it, then you're not going to care and you're not going to be consistent. So I play every single day. I try to post every single day. I try to just sometimes play without recording too. I just play just to play and run through songs and stuff. But definitely be obsessed, study. So a lot of people will ask me, how did you learn this song? It's like, I just jumped on YouTube and watched the person play it, or I look for someone else that covered the song too, because there's many people out there that are very good that covered this stuff that you're trying to do. But yeah, just research, get online, practice, be obsessed with it, stay consistent, and just know that you're going to fail too more than you'll succeed. And that's fine because it's all part of the learning process. So for me, it was all about I was just obsessed. Still am. I mean, still I am obsessed with Slipknot. So that obsession, I feel it will just never go away. Like I'll just always want to be involved with Slipknot, be involved somehow with potentially Jay Weinberg one day. Like as I get older, I'm just going to continue to try and be involved somehow. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think everyone has a band that they feel the same way about. And the word obsession has been coming up more and more with the more people I speak with. So you're in good company because that's what's going to push you through those perceived failures, which are really just all learning opportunities. And I couldn't agree more. You just have to keep pushing through, challenging yourself, exposing yourself to new material. You said like researching the way other people play things, or even like if two people posted a cover and like dynamically their covers are the same, if they put them in two different camera angles, you're going to get something from each of them. So there's always an opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
Chris, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Oh man. Well, first of all, thank you again for inviting me on this podcast. There's a lot of people that support me on my socials, and obviously I've seen you on there too as well. So, but this is a first for me, and I think it's really cool. It kind of gets me inspired to try, maybe want to do this myself one day. Also, just to be honest, later down the road, if I'm always trying to think of ways to create more connections with people, and then expose them to what I love doing, which is the Slipknot drumming specifically. But yeah, I mean, if anybody's watching this, if you could just, if you're not following me, you could follow me on my socials. And then also tag Jay Weinberg in any of the videos that I post, because I think the more he gets tagged, the more chance that something could happen. And obviously, if one of the videos goes viral, then that would be way easier for it to happen. But that's
totally
probably never going to happen. But the more people involved, the more engagement, that's what's going to help like get it going towards the right direction. So that would be like my plea is anyone watching, if you like Slipknot as much as me and like Jay Weinberg and like drums, you could tag Jay Weinberg and share this video, share this podcast.
Very cool. So one more time, can you please list off your socials?
Yeah. So for Instagram, it's at this drummer 1. And then TikTok, YouTube, it's just this drummer. Right now, if on TikTok, I got 5,300 followers. So if you're looking me up right now for this drummer, just look for the one that's got 5,300 followers. That's just current as of today. Instagram's like 650, and then YouTube. I had like 50 subscribers. Now I have 305. I think we have the exact same 305. And YouTube's been kind of like newer to me. So I don't really I post the daily video, but I'm not on there as much as I probably should be. But yeah, this drummer everywhere else. And then just Instagram, because some other person wants to be this drummer too. It's this drummer 1 with a 1 at the end.
Oh. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And we'll look forward to exciting news in the future.
Yeah, you're going to see all these PaleFest updates. Trust me, I'll be posting to my stories and you guys will see my interaction, at the very least, you'll see the interaction with Jay Weinberg, which I think is going to be really cool.
Awesome. Sweet. All right, Chris, we'll talk to you next time.
All right. Thanks, Max.
You bet. Bye.
Bye, guys.